Okay, so welcome to the class. Good evening. Good evening, Harsh. Okay, so I hope you are simultaneously revising the classes, what you have done so far. And now, so again, I'm going to remind all of you that we will be, or I will be doing what the answer solving of the questions that I gave you in the assignment on Thursday. And on Friday, we'll be doing what certain essays or discussions. Then the second assignment will be the combination of few answers and one or two essays. So that you should be building your writing skills gradually. And do not worry at all if you are stuck with your writing. So you are supposed to communicate to me. We'll be talking personally also. So just give me a message on Sunday morning if you are stuck with something in terms of writing. So we're discussing something on each and every Sunday. Yes, on every Sunday, you can personally talk to me in cases of your individual problems. Yeah. So this is the way that we should be progressing henceforth. So let's start with the class. Okay, so the topic for today is information, education, and communication. Information, education, and communication. Now, so why we require information, education, and communication for the people at large? Because always see from the perspective of governance. The governance, the biggest stakeholders are the people, and we want informed people. Now, when you talk about a fundamental duty, we should be generating scientific temper, not temper that we are seeing in the society. Okay, not the temper that we are seeing in the country. Okay, we should be moving towards scientific temper. Why there's a temper? Because the people have got narrow thinking, or they have what biased approaches. Their minds are not getting opened. They are not exposed to new knowledge. So hence it leads to what guess what very short-tempered people who may be not be willing to listen to any form of new form of information and communication. But we have to break this. Now we have to make people partners. Now, in order to make people partners, we have to bring various modes of communication and engagement with the people. There are various people who can be becoming better by the use of activities. There can be people who can be uh, made to understand through entertaining methods. There can be people who can be nudged. For example, students like you can be nudged into thinking because you are reading well, you are more aware than rest of the people. So if something new comes to your mind, definitely you try to think on that, critically analyze that. That is called nudging effect. That means by with a simple nudging through lectures, through new information, you will be forced to think and finally add to your thinking. On the other side, there can be certain set of people who may be requiring regular reminders, tapping on their heads, so that they start to take notice of the new things emerging and finally listening them and adopting them. But there can be extreme set of people also who are not willing to listen at all. So they are almost hard-brained not to listen to different opinions. Now, for example, we all use coins. Yes, we all use coins. On one side of the coin is head. How we know the other side is having a tail? Because we twist the coin, then we see the other side also. So similarly, means we always say that coin always have got two sides. Now, if the people are just viewing or listening to only one side, yes, that means they will be developing what narrow mindsets. Until unless they're exposed to the other side, they will not be having what critical mindsets. So that means the people should be exposed to what different ways of thinking, different outlooks, different opinions, so that they are going to become mature in their understanding. And for this, there's a requirement of what regular information, education, and communication. And this is a lifelong journey. Now, this lifelong journey has to be planted in what various ways. Now, we know in the length and breadth of the country, there are different sets of people, depending upon the age, location, and educational qualification. That means there should be the methods to connect with all the people irrespective of age, location, and educational qualification in a very comprehensive manner, in a very sustained manner, so that the people are forced to think differently. So hence comes to the picture IEC. Because if we want justice, if we want social justice can be created on paper through a constitution, can be created on paper by a law of the parliament, can be created on paper by the order of the Supreme Court, but a real application of justice happens in society. So until unless the people are open-minded, until unless the people are partners in promoting social justice, there will not be any social justice. Same goes with economic justice, environment justice. If you are facing climate change, if you are facing issues of what global warming, that means again the methods and the way of doing things should be changing what drastically. And for this, we require people's participation. And it again requires communication, education, and regular information. So any form of change in the society always require make people partners in bringing those change for lasting impact. So hence comes to the picture information, education, and communication. Now, therefore, there are certain codes which are supposed to be understood first. First is good communication is the bridge between confusion and clarity. Now that means if the people are confused due to lack of knowledge or misinformation or fake information. That's why the people are confused. So how a confused person will be moving to the state of mind reflecting clarity? It requires some good communication. Hence, good communication becomes a bridge between confusion and clarity. So that good communication should be filled by a proper system of information, education, and communication that will be seen in the class. Further, the only way to end war is communication between people. The only way to end war. Now we can solve the disputes from our families, from our neighborhoods, from the communities, in the society, national disputes, international disputes only through communication. Now, do we ever solve our family disputes with a gun? No. We never solve our family dispute with a gun. If we solve the dispute in the family with a gun, the family will not be there. Same goes with the society, community, the nation. We have seen what any form of dispute emerging from difference of opinion in the family to the international level disputes like Ukraine or Russia to what Israel and Gaza, all the things can only be solved through communication only, not through use of force. So only way to end war is communication between people. Next is good communication has the power to transform human outlook. So outlook is the way of seeing things. So outlook is what? Way of seeing things. At sentiment is how we feel. So sentiment is feelings. Attitude, that means approach towards others. Attitude, emotion, and behavior. So that means there's a potential to change everything by adding better, wider information. Hence, what can be changed? Outlook can be changed, feelings can be changed, attitude towards others can be changed, emotions can be changed, and thorough behaviors can be changed. Yes, complete behaviors can be changed. So good communication acts as a bridge. The only way to end any form of war in the country, in the society, in the family, international is only through communication, because communication builds up understanding about each other. Now, good communication is the power to change everything. Last is only communication can communicate. Now, what is the meaning of this? Only communication can communicate. Now, if we expect a change in the thinking of certain set of people, if we blindly blame them that they are doing the things wrongly, then what is the way of telling the right ways? Yes, only communication can communicate the right methods. So we should not be expecting that people will be changing their outlook or the way of doing things on their own, because whatever they do, even if that is wrong constitutionally and legally, they may be thinking it is correct. Yes, because they may not be knowing what is the right way. So hence, the only communication can communicate what should be the right method. We cannot expect the people to change on their own. Hence, it boils down to communication to communicate the right methods. So what we are doing is, we need to create communication as a bridge. We should be using it to what bring the people closer and end disputes, hence bringing what collaboration. to change every possible outlook and behavior. And we should be communicating regularly to guide the people in the right manner. This is the meaning of, these are the meanings of all these quotes now. Now, how to apply this? So what is the purpose? Why we want to communicate to the people? Why we want to educate people? Because the first purpose is we have to generate sustained mass awareness. So mass awareness, because we do not want ignorant masses. We want aware masses. So mass awareness. Now, when the mass awareness is there, so finally a fundamental duty is being fulfilled. That is scientific temper. It generates scientific temper. Now, when the people are having scientific temper means having more maturity in thinking, they are rational. So scientific temper means rational and logical. Rational and logical. When the people have got rational mindsets, logical mindsets, then it is easy to roll out justice because the people become partners. Because the people become partners in ensuring justice. Ensuring justice. People become partners in ensuring justice because they have got more open minds, and hence strengthens democratic spirit and thus enables the feeling of fraternity. So always connect with the constitution, always connect with the preamble, always connect with what the global SDGs. Yes. So that means there's a requirement to achieve certain things. For this, there's a requirement of what bringing change in the way of doing things. So in short, to establish a real justice in society, then commitment towards justice should be reflected in the attitudes and the actions of society, because these are the final game changers. Yes. If you change the attitude and actions of the society on a positive note, as guided by the constitution, as guided by the preamble, as per the requirement of the SDGs, definitely the things are smoothened in terms of what all-round holistic development of the community, of the society, and the nation across all the indicators. And this require a highly evolved system and commitment towards mass awareness. That should be the way. Information. Now, let me tell you one thing. Throughout the human history, yes, throughout the human history, let me tell you one thing. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the process first. Uh, Purpose, we know we have to open up the minds of the people. We have to create more logical thinking minds so that the country develops, the people mindsets become more collaborative and inclusive. Now, what should be the process? I told you the process should be, there should be a way of connecting with all types of people, irrespective of age, location, and educational qualification. That means there should be a system. There are multiple tools. That means we need to customize those tools as per the requirement of different sets of people. The tools which suits them the best. Yes. Now, these methods to be utilized proactively, positively, in a sustained and comprehensive manner. In a sustained and comprehensive manner. Involvement of both state and non-state actors. So it requires the support of both state in terms of making people aware, and also non-state actors. That means people's organizations, pressure groups, okay, individuals, community of teachers, community of social workers, okay. So that means both state and non-state actors in what make creating an aware society. Now, the tools of education, communication can be different for different sets of people. Hence, we need to customize as per the suitability of the targeted audience. And this is the only way to counter lack of information, misinformation, and fake information. And fake information, which is almost become a disease in today's world, the fake information, misinformation. We keep on confusing the people. Now, so what we are saying is process to reach everyone. Now, hence the things to be done very proactively, positively, in a very comprehensive manner. Bring all the possible stakeholders, both state and non-state. Customize the tools as per the requirement. Customize the tool as per the requirement, and hence able to counter lack of information, misinformation, and fake information. Now, so which are those tools? Yes. So that means now we are going to start with the tools with reference to IEC ecosystem that we are supposed to create. But before starting this, let me give you a history. Now, you have heard a term called fake information, misinformation, or deep fakes. Now, fake information is not a new thing, yes. Fake information was always there, manipulated information always there, misinformation always there since the beginning of human history. Since the beginning of human history, let's see how the information was controlled. And those who control information, they ruled the world. Yes. So they ruled the world. Now, let's see. Let's talk about the period of monarchy. The period of monarchy. So who were actually the powerful at this moment? Yeah? The priestly class and the monarch and the ministers and the other administrative officials, admin officials. So now, so that means when you talk about the monarchy, so what was the scenario? So who were educated at that time period? Only the priestly class, monarch, ministers, admin officials. Rest of the people usually illiterate. Yes. So we have seen that education very controlled. It was in the hand of the people who were in power. Okay, the monarchs and the people around them, and that was a history throughout the world. So priestly class in the European continent, yes, that means the bishops and the monarch ruled. When I talk about the Arabian world, yes, the Maulvis and the Basha ruled. When I talk about India, the Brahmins and Kshatriya ruled, accompanied by other ministers. So that means there's a huge control of information. So whatever the king communicated, whatever the officials communicated via kings, only that was seen as a real information. That means when the other people are not able to read, we have known that larger majority of people were not allowed to read, whether women, whether backward sections, whether Dalits in India, whether the different label, third gender community, means majority of the people are kept away from education. When they are not knowing how to read, so you can tell them anything, they will believe. Yes. So that means misinformation was right through the history. But now the things changed when the democracy emerged. So also came a concept of education for all. Education for all became the concept. That means what was promoted? Yes, literacy was promoted. Okay. Now also degree-based education was promoted. And now that education now tried to spread, now was spreading to different sections who were earlier denied education. So what was happened? Education and literacy was no more the monopoly of only few people. That means now more people becoming literate or so-called educated with respect to different degrees. That means they generated thinking mind. They were able to read the text. And hence what happened? They started to ask questions to the people in power. Ask questions. That again brought a problem to the people in power. So now how to deal with the set of people? On one side, as per the constitution, on one side, as per the SDGs, governments are bound to promote education. When the people are promoting getting education or becoming literate or more mature education, they're bound to ask questions to the people in power. So hence it is now creating problem. So how to control the people now, despite they're literate or despite they're educated, now provide them fake information. Yes, provide them completely fake information. So the people who are getting informed, the people who are getting literate, people are getting what education or educational degrees. So now how to counter their what newly found what way of asking questions? Okay, give them now the doses of regular fake information. And with the coming of what internet, fast speed internet, with the coming of what social media, with the control of what mainstream media in the hand of the powerful, in the hand of the ruling class, it becomes more easy. So though the education is there, literacy is there, still the people can be confused. Now, so hence we require a counter. Hence we require a counter, and there has to be a counter, and there are many counters, but we have to provide, apply them very proactively. So that we will be discussing with respect to what IEC ecosystem. Okay, so do not get confused. Fake information, misinformation, manipulated information is not a new thing. It was a part of human history. But now as we are evolving, there are various methods to counter it. Yes, but we should be spreading those methods. So now IEC ecosystem. So certain systems, certain things we have done. Now I am opening new things gradually. And finally today ending with, if the time permits, with the what mainstream media reforms. Yes. So let's talk about that. So certain methods of education we have done till now. We have talked about how to promote peace and value-based education. Peace and value-based education. Now, this can be promoted on the basis of reforms in the school education system and college education system. Okay? That is the delivery of education. So we have discussed about that we require to promote what? Multidisciplinary education. That means more activities in education so as to open up the mind, so as to involve the students, so as to what? Give them the chances to experiment. We have done all these things in the education reforms part. The first thing is capture the young minds. Now, for example, if a child is of the age of 3 starting the school, and if the child is exposed to wider education, wider learning, okay, experimentation, value systems, then those become permanent when they grow up. That means growing up means 3 years till your age. If the things are being imparted in a broad-based manner, what happens? What happens? It permanently settles in mind and visible in the activities when they complete their formal education. The first thing is this. Okay. So this becomes the way of what? Opening the minds of the people. Now, further, we were talking about that there should be a way of what? Regularly guiding the people in terms of course corrections. If they are doing something wrongly on daily basis, they require an assistance, they require an awareness input so that they're able to self-correct. And that self-correction can also be through what? Certain fines and punishments. So here we are talking about awareness through correctional, yes, methods. And we started with what? Traffic rules and regulations. We were talking about public transportation system, waste management, water management were the key areas to bring what? Certain correctional changes in the working of the society, individuals and the people collectively. Hence, making them more aware and more mature in understanding bigger things also. So here, awareness through correctional methods. Then we talked about certificate praise methods. So we talked about how to create what? Smart cities, how to generate smart people. Smart people means more logical, more rational, more capable, more proactive in bringing changes around them. And hence we used what? Multiple ranking system which can be generated. Multiple ranking systems which can be generated. We discussed about them. Now, then we talked about grassroots, what spread of the sporting culture. Sporting culture, we talked about lasting impact on the behaviors of the individual, of the society, value to the nation. So lasting, so we have talked about all of these in detail. Now, next thing in reaching to the people, and there are multiple methods. Yes, that means all these four, if you see all these four have the potential to reach crores of people if properly applied at grassroots level, block level, village level. Now, village level, if you are talking about, one more thing also becomes very important. Panchayats. So we need to create proactive panchayats. Now, panchayats, local self-government system, decentralization of power, decentralization of stakeholder approach, where the people are made partners in what? Improving their lot, bringing what? Local area development through discussions, informations, and awareness. So that's why panchayat comes to the picture. Panchayat, we talk about 29 activities are being provided to panchayats. 29 activities. Yes, Dharam, for example, fines, aren't there what? Traffic and rules and regulations fines? Aren't there littering fines on the metro station? Yes. So there are fines. But what we were talking about, they should be applied certainly. Yes. People should not be escaping by what? Breaking the rules. So that means we require what? Fullest implementation.
Sir, as it is a growing country with a growing population, is it good?
No, you see,
I,
so see, is it good? So these first of all, these fines have been in existence from the starting itself. That means for with the coming of the independence, rules and regulations were created. Now,
sir, before
fines and punishments does not mean only the monetary fine. Okay, for example, if you talk about the new law which has come into picture, it is also talking about community service as a punishment. So new law which is coming to, which is talking about for petty what crimes or for daily deviations, there's a requirement about community service now. So it means making the person realize what mistakes they have committed. Okay. For example, if somebody is breaking traffic rules and regulations, there are also ways of identifying what wrongs they are doing by not following them. Community work can be what assisting now the traffic police in what maintaining a proper traffic signal. Okay, working with what traffic police personnel for a 1 week, that means realizing why this is important. So community service becomes important. Okay, it's
Yes.
not simply punishment that we are talking about. It's not simply fines we are talking about.
Yes.
Okay, there.
Yes.
For example, one more thing: if somebody has cut the trees and plantations, okay, so what can be the best punishment for them? Okay, involve them in what maybe nurseries, involve them in what the afforestation drives. Okay, okay, community work, that is growing the trees. Yes, okay, that means realizing why trees are important. Those type of punishments are the biggest eye opener, rather than paying 100 rupees as a fine or 500 rupees as a fine. Clear? Okay, so now 29 activities, panchayats, 29 activities which have been given through 11th schedule. Yes, now we talk about panchayats, 29 activities. Now, first of all, why these 29 activities are development given to the people, right from the education at the grassroots level to the women development, justice, okay, trees, okay, sorry, the afforestation, or the cottage industries, various activities are being given to panchayats. Why? Because when the people are involved in doing those, they become aware, they become partners, and hence they improve their way of thinking and also way of doing things. But for that, we need to make the panchayats productive first. For making the panchayats productive, what is the first condition? We have to what? Financially empower the panchayats. We'll do this in governance part in detail. Financially empower the panchayats. Financial empower means, okay, better budgetary support. Second, also autonomy in collecting taxes. Collecting, yes, taxes. Now, first is financially empower. Now, second is, now if there are 29 activities, so they are panchayat members, they are what? Village ward members. So what is required now? Trainings of panchayat members. So training of panchayat members. That means the panchayat becoming aware of the issues concerning them. And when the panchayat becoming aware, so they are supposed to communicate to the people. So people, now training of panchayats. Third, support staff. Support staff. So we have just one panchayat secretary, but we require at least 2 or 3 more assistants, yes, which can be helping panchayat with multiple activities. So 1, 2, 3. Then fourth, we should be creating what panchayats, we should be identifying those panchayats which are best performers in the district. For example, if you're a district collector and through what panchayats, what assessment, you are finding what the best performing panchayats. Yes. Okay. For this, how to find them? The proper audit of panchayat activities. Audit is necessary. Audit of panchayats. The best performing panchayats have to be identified. Now, fifth, this audit will now lead to fifth. Okay. Okay. Maybe a award system of the best panchayats. So as encouragement. Now, the best performing panchayats can be trainers for adjoining panchayats. Adjoining panchayats. So what we are finding is, yes, how to empower the panchayat. There are multiple ways. First is financially empower them so that they have got the funds for the implementation of 29 activities. Now, how to apply those 29 activities? Okay, we have to train the panchayat members. Now we require a support staff to help the panchayat members. We require proper audit of the panchayat, hence create performance report cards. Audit will lead to performance report cards. Now, best performing panchayat should be awarded, and the best panchayats can now be becoming the trainers for the adjoining panchayats. So that is a way of what empowering in terms of what information, okay, activities based education and also awareness. Okay, so empower panchayats. Now panchayats have to act through what? Gram sabhas. So Gram Sabha, so all the eligible voters in the village are the members of Gram Sabha. So Panchayat and Gram Sabha have to coordinate. Panchayats have to communicate. Panchayats have to ask and take opinions. Now, when this in what exchange of information is happening regularly, okay, which is properly monitored, properly guided, then definitely the people at the grassroots are becoming highly aware, especially on the 29 activities they are concerned with. So they are highly aware. And we have done a thing called social audits. Now, if each and every scheme is being audited by the society itself, yes, the people at large. So that means they are becoming aware of all the issues from the Swachhata to the agriculture scheme, to the soil testing, to the environment, to the women empowerment, to the education, to what midday meal. If all these schemes are being socially audited, that means people are becoming aware about n number of things. Till now, it's very clear. Now, these are the, now see, all these things can be done by a DM at district level. So DM can definitely what focus on what the school and college education system, okay, can apply certainty of fines and punishments, okay, in which traffic violations, in which waste management and water management are three key areas to start with. Praise methods, okay, so it means a ranking system. We have seen the example of a municipal commissioner talking about decentralization of ranking system, praise methods, sporting culture, proactive panchayats, engaging with panchayats, ensuring Gram Sabha meetings are all inclusive and regular, and culture of social audits. Yes, these are the ways of promoting grassroots connect and also making people aware. Now let's talk about the next thing which we have not discussed, that is called citizen charters. So this is citizen charter, that is eighth. Now what are citizen charters in general? Now we know there are various government departments, right from the central government level, the state government level, and the district officials, yes, district departments, yes, or block level departments. Now, but the issue is that they are for the people, but the people like us may not be knowing what they are doing behind closed doors. And on one side, we talk about participatory democracy, we talk about what participatory governance. Two terms always remember, participatory democracy and participatory governance. If we want participatory democracy and governance, we have to involve people. And how to involve people is first right of the people is they should be informed what these departments at different levels, center, state, and district level are doing. That means all the information about their working should be converted into a list of information that is called charter of information for the citizens to read, get aware. If their beneficiaries demand services, if the services are not reaching, complain, and finally creating a pressure on the state officials, the district officials, and the central officials to act. Okay, so that means informing the people so that they are pressurizing the state machinery to act. Yes, and when the informing the people is the first start, that means we are making people aware again across the fields of implementation. So hence citizen charter is simply a list of information which the government departments at different levels should be revealing to the people at large what they are actually doing with respect to schemes, programs, and policies. Okay, what is their target audience? What is their target beneficiaries? Okay, what is the budget they are having? How they are applying so that others can read. Now, and this should be reflected on the websites of various government agencies, organizations, and government departments. Now, when a citizen like me or you will be reading that, so first of all, we are becoming aware. Then if we are going to demand services from that, if we are the beneficiaries, so we will be applying for services. In case we are not getting services timely, we can complain. So means we are creating pressure. And when this has been done across the activities and departments, so we are creating millions of aware people around. That is why citizen charter becomes another tool for information, education, and communication. So let's see this citizen charter. There's a question, 200 words. Those citizen charters have been formulated by many public service delivery organizations. Though citizen charters have been formulated by many public service delivery organizations, there is no corresponding no corresponding improvement in the level of citizen satisfaction and quality of services being provided. Analyze. So here Citizen charter is mandatory for various government departments, public sector units, public sector banks, okay, ministries. They are putting citizen charters. But the issue is that still there's no improvement, no major improvement in the citizen satisfaction and the delivery of services analyzed. That means gaps have to be analyzed. Second, the citizen charters is an ideal instrument of organizational transparency. It's an ideal instrument and accountability. That means it is required to be implemented perfectly so that it becomes an ideal system for ensuring organizational transparency and accountability. But it has its own limitations. So identify the limitations, again, the gaps, and suggest measures for more effectiveness, how to improve the application of citizen charters. So what these two questions are saying that citizen charters are essential. They have been what put by various organizations, but the final what outcomes, positive outcomes are still missing. That means there are gaps in implementation. So hence, what are the ways of properly applying citizen charter so that they become a powerful tool for first information, education, and communication? So first of all, major thing is you may be knowing about citizen charter because you are preparing for UPSC. Ask anyone in your family whether they know about a thing called citizen charter. There will be a big blank face. They are not knowing what is citizen charter, though it has been they have been drafted for citizens to follow. The first major thing, they are not well promoted. There is a very less awareness about what is actually citizen charter. So how to make them very powerful tool? There are certain major corrections are required. So how to make citizen charters highly impactful? Just note down first of all few introductory lines, 3-4 lines, so that we should be writing in a UPSC way. So just note down few lines. Note down participatory democracy and participatory governance rest on broad awareness among citizens, so that they emerge as active players through basic awareness and also creating sustained pressure through monitoring and evaluation on the state actors, that is officials, so that efficiency rises, accountability increases, and transparency is visible. And hence, in this regard, fullest application of citizen charters, and in this regard, fullest application of citizen charters is necessary. Full stop. Next line. Such charters should be displayed on the official websites of government agencies and departments comprising the following information. First, the basic vision and mission. Second, schemes, policies, and programs. Next, nodal officers. That means the officers who are posted there, nodal officers who are in charge with their official contacts. So official contacts can be official phone numbers and official email IDs. Next, basic information for beneficiaries. So basic information comprises of do's and don'ts. Next, filing procedures of RTI. Filing procedures of RTI. Next, general complaint redressal. General complaint redressal. Next, official contacts and addresses. Official contacts and addresses of branch offices. Branch offices, etc. Yes, that means comprising such type of information. So when does any citizen is going to read all this information, will becoming highly aware about various issues concerning them. Now, so that means this is the purpose: participatory governance and what participatory democracy, activating the citizens so that they become proactive. Hence, citizen charters are supposed to be displayed. So the people are supposed to become aware, read, and what pressurize the system to deliver. That's the way the citizen charter should be functioning. Now, how to make them better? So first of all, what we have to do is, let's see the first bullet point here. There's a need to spread awareness about citizen charter. First requirement is more and more people should be knowing what is the citizen charter. So what can be done by the departments, by the ministries, and what PSUs or anything? They can what promote what the advertisements to what the radio, the television, social media. Social media, okay. Now websites should be promoted more, newspapers. So various means of communication which are easily accessible for the people: newspapers, radio, television, social media. That means there should be general what information, what is the meaning of citizen charter, how to access those, and what are the benefits. Yes, so general information. So first of all, spread awareness. Now, second requirement is citizen charter should be very comprehensive. It should not be incomplete. It should not be having an obsolete information which is of no use, and it should be easy to understand. So for making it easy to understand, the three language formula always work in India. So three language means, okay, the English, the Hindi, and the local language of the state. Yes, that means three language formula functions well. So next requirement is citizen charter should be comprehensive, means broadly explained in a simple manner and easy to understand. That means there should be regular updation of information. Updation of information. So hence, third is regular updation information, for including immediate changes should be added. So that means information put, it should not be information put once in a year. Yes, there should be regular updation of information if that is necessary, so that information does not become obsolete, and changes at regular intervals. Now, if we want a regular updation of information on the citizen charters, we should be fixing responsibilities. Now, who should be made responsible? The person who is heading the office definitely is responsible for putting the updated information, and that person heading the office can instruct the admin staff, okay, for regularly upgrading, or there can be a dedicated team. Yes, so hence fixing of responsibilities on timely revision of citizen charters and awareness about it. So hence sole responsibility is the head of the office, but he or she can direct the admin officers or create a designated team for the regular updation of citizen charters. Now further, Now, even if you are fixing the responsibility, what is the guarantee that these people will be doing their duties in updating the citizen charters? There's no guarantee. That means we require an extra check on them. For example, if this is a sole responsibility to the person heading the office, okay, in getting it done through the staff, so this officer is usually a civil servant. This officer is usually what bureaucrats or the IAS officers, okay, heading the offices or departments. Now, and the officers are supposed to go for annual performance appraisals in terms of what their performance is. And for annual performance appraisal, there are various indicators or the parameters of their evaluation. So that means this can also be included as one of the parameters in their annual performance evaluation, ensuring that this will be applied if that is a way of indicating the performance of the officer. So here to be included as a performance parameter in their annual performance evaluation. Annual performance evaluation. So in such a manner, the citizen charter can effectively become what more ideal instrument of accountability and transparency, as the question was demanding, can remove limitations in implementation, can bring desired effect and outcomes. Okay, this is the way. So all these are the 5 or 6 major points which are required. Now, so citizen charter, let's talk about now a tool of communication which in 21st century is still very, very relevant, and that is called radio. Now, why radio is very, very important? Now, radio is a very powerful tool of communication still, though we are living in 21st century. It is still the cheapest mode of communication, reaching what the farthest corners of the country. Now, many people can come and communicate through radio programming. If they are shy of the video, if they are shy of the social media, if they are not confident enough in terms of what videographing, so that means it provides an alternative to put their opinions, yes, without becoming visible, but still communicating with a wide set of people and the community. And the purpose is again enriching the community with information. And hence comes a thing called community radio. So here, next way of getting the people empowered, getting their voice heard, it's not simply social media or the WhatsApp type of things or the Facebook type of things. Still, the radio is very, very effective. And the what radio we are talking about? Community radio. Now there are two types of radios. One is commercial radio, which are usually FM channels, which are usually for entertainment. Yes, entertainment. On the other side, they are what a parallel radio, which is community radio. Now, what is a community radio? First of all, any community can start its own radio programming as per the guidelines of community radio brought by Government of India in 2002. That means there can be a village radio, an NGO can start, means a social organization radio can be there, slum radio can be there, SSG federations, they can start their own radios, unions, students and education institutions, there are various colleges that run their radio programs, institutions. That means community radio means any community can start their own radio. And the purpose is, first of all, it is non-profit, yes. Purpose is awareness and discussion platform. And the thing is, political parties are not supposed to start their community radios. Okay, so this is kept outside from the purview of the command of the political parties. Because here the purpose is empowering the people. When we talk about the media, mainstream media, when they are not talking about the common people, so who will talk about the common people? Only the common people will talk about themselves. Yes. So hence it becomes a very powerful medium. Now, even during the COVID lockdowns, when the education was also closed, schools were closed, the people who can afford tablets and what maybe mobiles and maybe laptops, so they were getting access to education through online classes. But there's a huge digital divide in the country. Many people are not having the incomes to buy again an alternative phone. Maybe there is a one phone in the family. Usually the head of the family is having that phone, and that person may be not available in the household. Yes. So how to promote education? So during the COVID period, the community radios filled up the gap in what radio-based education program. It also required to communicate what health education programs. Yes, health education programs. So now the purpose is give the license to a community if they are willing to start, okay, and let them run their radio programs to discuss their own problems, to discuss the local problems, gradually elevating the information level of the community they are addressing to higher level. communicating even government information, communicating even schemes of the government of India, state government schemes, beneficiaries, okay? Provide what opportunities for discussions on various issues, performances, okay, various what radio-based theater and drama. So anything can be done with radio and empowering the communities. So first of all, purpose is non-profit and community development. Now, to ensure the viability and the financial viability of the community radios, one thing is being provided. For every 1 hour of programming, 5 minutes of advertisement slot is being provided. That advertisement slot is for getting the revenue enough to maintain the staff and keep the radio program functioning. It's not for generating profit. Okay. So hence it's for non-profit and community development. So hence what is this? It is a discussion and awareness platform for common issues concerning the society, the community, problem solving. It can be acting as a problem solving mechanism, a counseling mechanism, raise awareness from basic to bigger issues. So that means discussion on what? If there is a farming community, so discussion on what? Yes, soil testing, water conservation, application of seeds, manures properly, what is going on, best farming practices. All these can be rotated through community radio. Now give space to local performers, highlight best practices, appeals and announcements necessary, which are required to be told to the people, and also radio-based education and health programs. And now, as any community can start its radio program, hence it has got a huge potential at the grassroots, can cover entire India. So this can be very powerful alternate source of power to the people, voice to the people, which is not being heard through mainstream media. And there are what interesting articles for reading. One interesting article is community radio as a phenomena. So try to read the article why community radio can be a bigger phenomena if properly applied. And there are certain successful case studies also. Radio Kadal gives voice to the fisher folk in Kerala capital. That means this is a community radio of the fishing community, and for the same purpose, discussion and awareness platform. So here, empowering the communities. Now, what you can do is, whichever district you are coming from, just Google, yes, the community radios in your district. Okay, so again, you will be getting a list in your district. Okay, and just find which community is running which type of community radios. Okay, so there are various methods about bringing awareness to the people. And again, in the district, if you are a district collector, you can promote community radios with more efficiency when you are commanding the district. Now, another thing which is very powerful. So radio was a very powerful medium in the pre-independence period. Even the what media was gagged also that time by the Britishers also. There were actions against the radio stations, so there were underground radio coming. Now to that period, underground radio is now community radio, which is now empowering the communities to run their own radio program freely now. Yes, freely now. Okay. Now another mode of communication is newspaper. Now when we talk about a newspaper, the print media we are talking about. Now, India has got a huge what newspaper market. There are more than 60-65 crores of what newspaper buyers. Okay. And there are more than 1 lakh newspaper publications. Publications can be a daily publication of newspaper, can be a weekly newspaper, can be a evening newspaper. There can be different types of newspapers. But the problem is that the newspapers of late have reduced in quality. Now, whenever you are preparing for UPSC, you are being asked to read the Hindu, because the Hindu is the newspaper is still giving issues. Yes, but I have been reading Hindu for last 30 years. Still, I have seen the Hindu has also compromised on news printing. Yes, because the fiery Hindu, the Hindu of the 1980s and 90s, is no more there. Is no more there. Yet, Hindu is a newspaper which provides at least certain issue-based what editorials and articles and certain news which make the people aware. Indian Express has also compromised a lot. Okay, in the last many years, last especially 10 years, we are talking about. But barring these two newspapers, other newspapers are not good enough. Other English newspapers, there are Times of India, are mostly page 3 newspapers. Hindustan Times, okay, again, more the More the noise, less the content. When I talk about the regional newspaper or the Hindi newspapers, they completely lost their bite, barring one or two newspapers. So that is why the newspaper have lost their relevance, though there are huge newspaper being published in the country. So what is the manner of what reviving the power of what newspaper? The power of newspaper can be revived on the basis of Supreme Court direction. The Supreme Court direction of 2016, let us understand this. Now, what we see in the newspapers, there are big advertisements put by the state governments and the union government when they are launching any schemes. So they eat up the entire page with big photographs of their chief ministers or the prime minister. And the information is not there. Yes, it's just the name. So that means it is completely wasting of the news page, which is very large in size. So Supreme Court stated, gave a direction. It's almost an advisory, not a direction. It's more than it was more of an advisory to the state governments and the union government that in order to put any information about any policies, schemes, program, or general information, that should be covered in detail. Okay? That should be covered in detail so that for the reader, it becomes self-explanatory in nature. That means utilize the complete page with all the basic information so that for any reader, it becomes self-explanatory in nature. And a picture should be kept at the corner. Picture should not be eating the main space of the newspaper or news page. That was the direction. That direction was, yes, applied during the COVID period by all the governments, state government and the union government in communicating how to avoid COVID. The safeguards should be applied. For example, let me show you. This is as per the Supreme Court guidelines. This is as per the Supreme Court guidelines. So what we are saying, so that means one pager released by the government by through whole page should be containing information which is self-explanatory for any reader. So what is the message? Is fight corona. Second line is saying how it spreads, spread through transmission. So what to be done by the people? Wash your hands, wear a mask, practice social distancing. And for more information, log on to this and get connected for more information. And picture of the government head is coming at the corner. So this is as per the Supreme Court guidelines. Now, when this can be done with respect to COVID, that means this can be done for all the issues concerning the people. Now, which are those issues? Let's see. Can include now issues of governance, economic issues, social issues, environmental issues, and also the role of the people as non-state actors. For example, just we have seen that people are not knowing about citizen charter. So one pager on citizen charter. So citizen charter, one page. Okay. What is citizen charter? Where to find and how to utilize? Yes, just one page. So that one page of information can increase the awareness among the people. Now, for example, if this is being done in what all the newspapers in the country. Now, for example, let's talk about the rural areas. In rural areas, the newspapers are going to rural areas. Certain people buy, all of them are not buying. But if certain people buy, definitely other people also listen. Okay, or they borrow and read, Okay. So, for example, if that is going to the villages, that means, okay, information can be, for example, water harvesting. So what is water harvesting? How it can be done? Yes. Where it can be done? To know more, get the information. To know more, get the information. So that means things can be rotated. There are 52 weeks in a year. That means 52 issues can be rotated on a weekly basis. That can be economic, that can be social, that can be governance, that can be environmental. And what can also be done is a small caption can also be given at the corner. Okay, the next week this particular issue will be covered. So the people will be waiting for that issue to know more. So that means one page of information can change the dynamics of information flow. Now, as a DM, what you can do is you do not have a control over the national newspapers. Okay, but definitely there are various local newspaper published emerging from a district, also the evening newspaper emerging from a district. Then the same Supreme Court guidelines, you can put a half pager or one pager on the basis of weekly information flow. So newspaper can be revived in terms of value, in terms of what information, education, communication to the people at large. So here, so what we have learned so far, newspapers are published in crores of copies each and every day, or weekly newspapers and with evening newspapers. Now, what is required to be done is reviving the power of newspapers on the basis of Supreme Court guidelines. Now, we have seen the positive usage of Supreme Court guidelines during the COVID period. That means what can be done is, in a similar manner, all the issues can be brought in the forefront of the people's eyes and communication and understanding. Now, what you can do as a DM, so I will always talking about what you can do as a DM. So that will be the information very, very helpful for you in dealing with the case studies of ethics, governance case studies, where as a DM you will be thinking, possibility of an officer you will thinking, and what can be applied at a grassroots level. So now, issues of governance, economic, social, environmental justice. That means you can use the evening newspaper, the local newspaper of your district, okay, and putting in advertisement, because the DM also gets IEC budget. From what? DM gets IEC budget, which it can use for communication to the people. So the same Supreme Court guidelines you can use in the local newspapers and the evening newspaper of your district. So this is the way to reach to the people. Now let's talk about means of communication which came after independence. And what came after independence? Television. Yes, television. Now television started to spread across the country fast in what 1980s. I was a growing up child in 1980s, so on each and every day in the Doordarshan news, what I found, knew what Doordarshan Kendra has been opened here, there, here, there, here. That was a period of expansion of television in the country, 1980s. That was also the start of the expansion of computers in our country, 1980s. Okay, so that means two major things happened in 1980s, 85 to 90, broadly spread of television and coming of the computers. Okay? I've seen the computer for the first time in about 1986, 87 in the school. Yes, so it was reaching the schools also. So so now, first of all, television now reaches pan India. It is more powerful because it is audio visual in nature. So it has got a massive hold in molding the mindset because it is audio and visual in nature. Now there are two types of programs. One is generally called the entertainment programs, and one is called the news programs. So broadly, the television can be divided into two parts: entertainment based and the news based. Now, but there's a question mark on the quality of the content that is dished out by both the news channels and the entertainment channels. Now, if we compare the news of the yesteryears, if you compare the news programs of the yesteryears, entertainment programs, there's a huge difference. 1980s, the scenario was completely different. Now, there was only one channel, Doordarshan, but the Doordarshan has got enormous varieties. There was a program for the children, the program for the youth, the elderly, for the farmers. That is called Krishi Darshan, okay, farmers. So that means there are different sets of programming. And the television serials of that time were actually having limited episodes. The 13 episode serial or the or the 26 episode and the 52 episodes. So 13, 26 and 52 episodes. And they used to come on weekly basis. That means they were to be wrapped within 1 year. So that means when a limited number of episodes were being given to you, that means you are showing good quality content, very solid storyline. That is why I've seen the stories of the Rabindranath Tagore, Leo Tolstoy, Munshi Premchand, and other great writers converted to television serials. That means the television serials was of good quality. At least you were learning something new. Even the programs, yes, there was a professor I mentioned, Professor Yashpal Committee. Professor Yashpal used to come with a science program that is called Turning Point, and he explained the science in a very simplified manner. In 1995, there was a big solar eclipse in North India, total solar eclipse on 24th of October, 1995. You can do a Google search. 24th October, 1995. Now, and we know solar eclipse is usually linked with enormous superstitions in our country. But as the purpose of the television to promote scientific temper, not temper, the Professor Yashpal through Turning Point encouraged the people to watch solar eclipse by wearing special goggles. Yes, because the purpose of TV was to educate the people. Now things start going downturn with the coming of the privatization of television. More players entered both for the entertainment channels and also for the news channels. Now, Doordarshan news was usually the government news, but still there was alternate news emerging. You must have heard about NDTV, yes, Pranav Roy. Pranav Roy NDTV was the first person who started what a separate channel, NDTV, yes, from 1988, yes, and he was providing a different news from across the world, across the India, which was different from the Doordarshan news. Yes? So the people were exposed to both the opinions, the government opinions and the alternative opinions. And he came with a beautiful program, The World This Week, yes, and that used to come on Friday. The purpose of television was highly informative. But with the opening of the LPG era, 1991, mushrooming of more television channels, entertainment based as well as what your news based. Now they were only searching for TRPs, advertisement revenue, and hence they started to dish out what lesser or lower quality content in a rat race. Yes. First of all, the entertainment channels or serials were destroyed by Ekta Kapoor. She brought the culture of daily soaps. Now, useless storylines or no storylines, type of families that never coexist. Nobody is poor in the families. Everybody is what scheming against each other. Nothing constructive about her serials. Gradually, news also declined. Initially, they were exposing the right things. They were exposing the issues of the people. They were exposing the scams in different areas. But gradually, they also were captured, yes, by big corporates, and they become the spokesperson of the government or a spokesperson of the corporates, yes. And hence, they also started to dish out the misinformation. So what has happened so far here is that television has lost its bite in terms of what informing the people. So it is actually not promoting scientific temper, but actually promoting temper more by reducing the mindset of the people and misinforming the people. So television has lost its what real purpose. That's why there's a big question mark on the quality of the news channels as well as the entertainment channels now. But there was UPSC CSE, which was questioning the importance of media. And it was talking about that this is UPSC CSE, biased media is a real threat to Indian democracy. Biased media. So it's talking about that media if biased is a threat to democracy. And we are talking about here Indian democracy. That means we have to find solutions, biased media. Now we have to find solution, but first of all, we should be knowing what should be the actual role of media. Yes, what should be the actual role of media? We always talk about it should be acting like the fourth pillar of democracy. Now, fourth pillar of democracy, let's see the purpose, the role of media. The role of media. Now, when I talk about role of media, okay, so first of all, it should be acting like a fourth pillar of democracy. You all know the three pillars are the executive, legislature, as well as judiciary. That means there should be an external check on all the three pillars. Okay. Now, hence, it is supposed to keep a check on what other three pillars? Executive, legislature, and judiciary. Hence, it should be raising people's voice. So when we talk about the media channels which are blindly praising the government in power, the media channels which are blindly praising the government in power is not a media at all, because media is never a friend of the government in power. The role of the media is permanent opposition to any party or any government in power. That is the role of a media. It's as simple as possible. That's why it is the fourth pillar. Because media is not a spokesperson of the government, media is a spokesperson of the people's voice. So hence, raise people's voice to the corridors of power. So until the people in the power, they are not knowing or exposed to the people's issues, they will not be improving their functioning. If all the information is being sidelined, if the people are misinformed, if the people are exposed to fake information, that means the real issues of the people are not reaching to the people in power. That means what will be happening? What will be happening? The people in power will be becoming uncontrolled. That means there should be always checks and balance in a healthy democracy. And that is provided by a very healthy and proactive media. So hence, raise people's voice to the corridors of power. Hence, it should be acting like an interface. It should be acting like a bridge or interface, bridge or interface between state and non-state actors. State and non-state actors. Hence, it is what is supposed to deliver unbiased delivery of news to promote rationality and scientific temper. So, unbiased delivery of news to promote rationality and scientific temper. And thus, it's supposed to make people more informed and should be strengthening the democracy. Now, what is the essay that the UPSC gave? Biased media is a real threat to Indian democracy. But on the contrary, it should be strengthening the democracy. It will be strengthening democracy if it is working as per the role of media. Fourth pillar, keeping a check, raise people's voice, access interface, and unbiased delivery of news and make people informed and thus strengthening the democracy. Okay. Now, there is always case studies which are required to be done. What Indian media versus the global channel like BBC. Yes, okay. Now I will BBC. Recently, again there was the UK elections. Now, when we talk about, let's talk about the BBC. There's certain interesting things. BBC is being blamed by various countries, including India, that BBC is very biased towards India's news. Okay, forget about all these things. Okay, forget about BBC reporting about India, about other countries of the world. Let us see what BBC, the British Broadcasting Channel, yes, British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, which is the British channel, what it reports about its own country first, yes, own country. Now, try to increase your awareness first of all. Now, there are certain very beautiful BBC documentaries which expose the black past of United Kingdom. Now, there's a BBC documentary, The Forgotten Slave Owners of UK. The Forgotten Slave Owners of UK. We know all the colonial powers were linked with various slavery or slave trade during the 18th and the 19th century, the slave trade. And Britishers were also involved, British merchants were also involved, and British monarchy was also involved. That was brutally exposed by the BBC about the black past of the UK, and in a very beautiful documentary. It won the best award also. Now, what is the purpose of exposing the wrong things of the past? The purpose of exposing the wrong things of the past, that the same thing should not be repeated in the future. It's a lesson. Similarly, when we talk about another documentary, is the East India Company. Very beautiful documentary. We know East India Company is one of the first multinationals of the world, and it ruined the economies of various colonies it ruled, including India. So all the wrong deeds done by the British East India Company was exposed by that documentary. That means, again, that East India Company was working under the order or the charter of the British monarch. So directly implicating the monarchy, directly implicating the functioning of the UK system, yes, of the past. That means that means they are not putting carpet or maybe the curtain on the wrong deeds. Yes, they are exposing it. Next is the prime ministers in the last 3-4 years, 4 or 5 prime ministers have changed. There used to be Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson was the major person behind Brexit. Okay. Now, in one of the UK towns, he was roaming on the road. He was surrounded by the people, covered by BBC, and the people surrounded him and asking questions about Brexit. Okay, one person came, strolling the child, put the hand on the prime minister's shoulder and shook it violently and asked, eye to eye, explain me Brexit, I'm confused. Yes. That means the media was covering and the prime minister is supposed to be grilled even on the roads. Yes, because they're supposed to deliver to the people because they promised that he or she will be the representative of the people. The British prime ministers. Then came Liz Truss, the lady. The Liz Truss, only for 45 days, the prime minister. She promised to rebound the British economy, and she put a huge presentation that she is going to do this. But after 45 days, she realized that she cannot perform. Yes, she is not going to perform, and she was grilled by BBC, and she resigned. Yes. Then came Rishi Sunak. Yes. So Rishi Sunak became the prime minister, and Rishi Sunak was caught not wearing a seat belt in the back of the car by the police, reported by BBC, and he sought pardon, yes, for his actions. That means the purpose of the media is to grill the people in power. The purpose of the media to expose the wrong deeds anywhere. And here I am not talking about what BBC is reporting about the entire world. I am talking about what BBC reported about its own country, the past and the present. The same should be the action of media everywhere. Indian media should also be doing the same thing, exposing the wrong things in Indian society and also celebrating the good things in Indian society and also exposing the wrong deeds of the current government and also praising the good deeds of the current government. That is the role of the media. What is good should be praised. What is wrong should be exposed. Yes, that is the role of the media. Now, in this, so let's see what should be done first. This is the cartoon that came in the Hindu. Indian media lost its shame, yes, when the NDTV was also bought by Adani. The sole voice on mainstream media, which was also closed, yes, with the purchase of NDTV by Adani. This came as a cartoon in the Hindu newspaper. Indian media lost its shame. Now, if this is the reality of Indian media and biased media is a threat to Indian democracy, so what are the ways of reviving Indian media? Let's see the answer now. So first of all, reviving media ethics. How to revive the media ethics? Now, why it should be revived? Let us see some of the statements coming from the Supreme Court first. Let's see the statements coming from Supreme Court first. Let's see this article. The buck stops with the government. The buck stops with the government to end hate speech as per Supreme Court, the Hindu. What the Supreme Court is saying, who is responsible for stopping hate speech delivered from news channels and television? Is the government is solely responsible. Why? We have done a thing called ethics in governance formula. Stakeholder one is government. Government is the guardian of the country. Being the guardian, it's their responsibility to tell what is right and what is wrong. And if something is being wrong, being properly projected to the people, is a responsibility of the government to say stop. Yes, stop. Bring certain restrictions, regulations, or self-regulations. So buck stops with the government to end hate speech. And the article is Supreme Court condemns hate speech aired on TV. That means Supreme Court is regularly reminding that television of today is definitely harming the people, harming the mindsets, creating problems for the society. On one side, we talk about sovereignty and integrity of the country. But when we are dishing false information against certain communities, certain castes, certain tribals, certain tribal areas, okay, there is a bound to be a clash. And the clash will lead to rebellion. Rebellion can also lead to extremism and terrorism. It is going to hamper the sovereignty as well as integrity of the country. So that means the purpose of the media is to bring people together. So hence, so there are certain lines that I have borrowed from these certain articles. Let's see. Court wonders, this is from the articles. You can read the entire articles. Court wonders why the government continues to remain a mute spectator to hatred paddled in the electronic media. So court is wondering, yes, why government is not taking action. So what the court is expecting, that government should take actions and say stop to such type of nuisance on television. So who is responsible? The government has to take actions. Further, the Supreme Court said that role of TV anchors is critical in monitoring that their shows do not descend into flurry of hate speech. But the anchors do the same thing on daily basis. Hate speeches they promote. Our so-called Arnab Goswami and gang, or what Sudhir Chaudhary, Anjana Kashyap, okay, the Shweta Singh, or these type of what anchors, okay. So these are dabba anchors. So they are not doing anything. If you ask what 4 lines of preamble, they cannot tell what is the meaning of the preamble in this country. They do not know. Okay. So these type of anchors are filling the spaces there because they have been given the responsibility to create confusion. So it's a rollout to the anchors. Another article from the Indian Express, Supreme Court flex TV channels, chief medium of hate speech may lay down guidelines. Supreme Court saying if the government is not going to do anything, then we will be coming forward and laying down the guidelines. Very clear? So that means already there's an indication from the top court of the country that media requires reforms and proactiveness for the government, as well as the responsibility should be emerging from the news broadcasting companies, as well as the news anchors to reform their ways. If the government is not taking action, then Supreme Court is saying we will lay down the guidelines. But now there's no need of what laying down the guidelines. There are already existing guidelines, but they require application. And what can also be brought, the government can also bring a law. Yes. Let's see how the things can be applied in terms of reforming the media side. So first let's see what can be done with respect to the existing things first. Let us start with the constitution first. Yes, article 19(1)(a). Article 19(1)(a). So freedom of speech and expression is the foundation of a democratic society. Yes, we know. Until unless you are given a chance to express your opinions, express your what thinking, okay, that means that will not be a democratic society. There should be freedom of expression. It empowers the individual to express their views and thoughts without any fear or censorship, and thereby contributes positively. So here, positively is the word. It should not be negatively. Yes. So freedom of speech does not mean you can speak anything. You can promote hate, you can promote biasness, you can promote what ill will against a particular community or a caste or a religion. Yes, that is not freedom of speech. Yes, freedom of speech should be contributing positively towards the development of the nation. Positively. So hence, that is why comes into picture various mediums to communicate the things positively. So various mediums are also provided to the citizens. Yes, like media is a medium which should be used positively, newspaper positively, article writings positively, or any other means of communication to express and share opinions. Now, what it also states, Article 1A, however, it is also to be noted that such a right comes with certain reasonable restrictions. It's not absolute freedom of speech and expression. So that means if something is going to hurt the community, something is going to hurt the sovereignty, integrity of the nation, relationship with what foreign countries, definitely there can be chances that the government can come with restrictions on such type of what? Irresponsible free speech. Yes. So in order to protect other rights, including misuse of rights guaranteed under this right. Yes. So that means fundamental rights have to be protected for all. Yes. It should, the freedom of religion is there. But when we talk freedom of religion, yes, we are talking about hatred towards certain religions. So that should not be coming from the television, from the media, from the article writing, from the speech. Yes. There should be certain restrictions. So Article 1A. Now that means there is a possibility of putting a restriction if that is not in, if the things are not in positive sense. Article 19(2). Nothing shall affect the operation of any existing law. If there's existing law for such type of what direction, it will keep on running, or if required, new law can be brought. Or prevent the state from making any law insofar as such laws imposes reasonable restrictions. So government can bring a law which can impose reasonable restrictions on the freedom of speech if that is going to hurt the sovereignty and integrity of the country. So what we are seeing for the last 10 years, what the media is doing, yes, hate, 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 hashtagging, 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 hashtagging. They're spreading what misinformation about the educated elite who ask questions, urban Naxals, farmers protesting, Khalistanis. Okay, when you talk about Muslims tagged differently, okay, tribals tagged differently. That means they are spreading hatred against various communities in the country. So are they working for integrity of the country? The media channels, no. Are they promoting sovereignty? Yes. Strong nation? No. They are weakening the nation. So here the sovereignty of the integrity of country. Vaibhavi, you can say, already people are unmuted.
Yes, sir. Sir, even if government brings with reasonable restriction or judiciary brings with comes up with guidelines,
Hmm.
which may be positive in nature, but that can be interpreted in a negative sense, right? Because this whole thing is a very fragile area when restriction or guidelines sort of things come in the scenario. So.
The problem with what creating laws is that they are not properly discussed in the parliament. They are rushed through. That means it leads to what? Various loopholes in the languages of the bills, okay, and also what various clauses which are left to be included. What is required? Why there's a first reading, second reading, third reading of the bills in the parliament? Why there's a select committees to scrutinize the bills regularly so that no more loopholes to be left. If the law is very, very perfect, things are properly defined, words are properly defined, what is the meaning of reasonable restrictions, what should be denied, which goes against the constitution, properly elaborated, yes, then definitely law can be very, very clear for all to use. It depends upon how we are framing the laws. Okay, clear, Vaibhavi?
Okay, sir. Yes,
Ah,
sir.
so language. So normally, see, loopholes are deliberately left in the laws so that certain manipulations can be done. If that has been kept out, that requires what huge what scrutiny of the laws again and again. That's why the opposition is required, why select committees are required, because the things have been scrutinized from all the angles, okay, to bring perfection. Okay, sovereignty and integrity, security of the state, federal relations with foreign states. What we have seen, there's an issue with Maldives. Then there are huge what hashtag on the Maldives. Okay? So hate speeches against Maldives were being promoted. So that ultimately what reduced what the confidence of Maldives more in India. And then we say that China is what becoming more friendly with what Maldives. So who is giving the space? We are providing the space. So that, and here the media is the major culprit here. So foreign relations with the foreign states, public order, decency, morality. So here they are going against decency, public order, and complete morality because they are working against their own ethics, media ethics. So that means if the reasonable restrictions are to be brought for promoting positive speeches, inclusive way of doing the things, rationally opening up the mind, so that those all those positive side of the media is nurtured and promoted. Definitely, government can bring reasonable restrictions if that their type of media of today, or which is going to destroy the fabric of the country, and is becoming very negative now, that may be requiring course correction. A law can be a possibility. But let us talk about law later. Let us talk about existing things which can be utilized more proactively to reform the functioning of the media. First of all, there's a self-regulatory one. Let's start with the existing things first. Then we'll talk about the possibility for law. There's a self-regulatory body, yes. Now, so NBSA, News Broadcasters Standards Authority, which is now known as a new name, News Broadcasters and Digital Association, that is NBDA. Because when NBSA came, it was only the print media and the television media in 2008. But now the digital media is also there. So hence the name has been reframed as News Broadcasters and Digital Association, NBDA. Now, what are the objective and functions? This is self-regulatory body of media. That means self-regulation. So self-regulations, for example, they should be defining a code of conduct. What is the meaning of self-regulation? So all the media houses, they should be creating a code of conduct. Code of conduct for the field journalist, for the television anchors, for the news broadcasting organization, code of conduct, and see that this code of conduct is being properly applied through self-regulation. But many times the self-regulation cannot be, may not be functioning because again, the people who may be the members of such a committee can be the biggest violators of such type of regulations. Okay, but let us forget about the members here. But first of all, see what is the purpose of this NBDA. Objective functions: maintaining and improving the standards of broadcasting. So maintaining the standards, maintaining also the independence of broadcasters, journalists, and news agencies. So means independence. If the media channels are coming under control of the government in power, any government in power, any party in power, it is not independent. That means it should be an independent body working as a fourth pillar. So ensuring that it works as a fourth pillar, ensuring that it maintains the standard, NBDA is there. Further, ensuring compliance by broadcasters, television journalists, and news agencies with code of conduct. There should be code of conduct is ethics, basic ethics to be followed. Basic ethics to be followed. And adherence by the said persons to high professional standards. So first of all, independence of media, standards to be maintained, and ethical code for all the agency also, and the journalist also, and the anchors also, that should be there. Further, fostering and encouraging the growth of a sense of responsibility and public service. So media is a public service. The media is a service, public service, a service to the people. So hence, media is a spokesperson of the people. So that means here. But now, how to make it functional? Now, this is a body, but this body is sometimes very dormant, very useless, occupied by the people who are having selfish interest. They are not willing to apply the code of conduct. So how to make it workable? Now, any committee or any commission, they have got their members. And the quality of any committee and commission depends upon the quality of members. If the quality of members is very, very high, they are very experienced and ethical in their way of work, definitely the application or the guidelines will be better. The first thing what the government can facilitate, okay, without bringing a law. Now, any government in power, what it can facilitate? Why the government will be facilitating? Because the Supreme Court is saying the bucks stop with the government to clear or deal with hate speech. Yes. So how the government can deal it? Create a system where better quality people should be finding a way into such committees first. The first is the enabling factors which can improve the functioning of NBDA are first the government external positive environment support. The first thing is, so what is required is selection. So select people of highest integrity in their respective fields as member of NBSA or NBDA. So here, this can only be done when the government is the facilitator. So the quality of committees, commissions, such bodies depending upon the autonomy provided extended by the government itself. So first of all, if the government is willing to provide autonomy, definitely there are more chances that a better quality of people getting into such a body. Hence, now it will be having better autonomy to check the quality content of the primetime news as per the parameters of NBSA. So what can be done is, already there is a code of conduct. Already there is a guidelines for the news anchors, which is the most vast, the primetime news of 9 p.m. Let the body start with the checking the quality content of the primetime news as per the already set parameters of code of conduct. The parameters are there. On that, they are now evaluating the primetime news. They are not telling what to show, what not to show. Yes, whatever being is shown by the television channel, they are just checking the quality as per the code of conduct and the parameters already set. Now, when you check something as per the guidelines for checking, what you can do, you can give marks. You write UPSC paper, there a certain standard of question is being answer is being expected. As per that standard, your answer copies are being checked, and accordingly the marks are being given. The same thing to be done here. As per the already set parameters, the already was shown television news is now being checked, primetime news content is being checked as per the quality standards. Now, when you're checking something as per the quality standards, what can be done? What can be done? Rating points can be given on the quality on the scale of 10 or whatever the skill they can create. And can what also be given? Monthly scores and annual scores can be generated for different channels. How far or how close they were as per the quality of content. So they're just checking as per the guidelines, not telling what to show, what not to show. Now further, on the basis of annual scores, now give rankings. So when you get your scores, rankings can be given. So now the task of the NBDA is over. NBDA task is to maintain the standards, the quality, the independence, okay, the code of conduct. Now what the channels are being showing, now let us give them the rating points as per the already set parameters. Ratings to be converted to ranks. Now that is the task of the NBDA is over. And definitely rating points and ranks will be visible to all. Now what the government can do in terms of next level of facilitation. This is the first facilitation. Second facilitation is government can issue advisories. For example, Supreme Court is saying that the government should be taking actions, but it is so mute. So that means government should be coming out from mute and can issue occasional advisories if required, if the channels are digressing from code of conduct. That means second thing government can issue advisories highlighting adherence to code of conduct. And such an advisory was also issued in what 2022, April 23. So INB ministry issued advisory to private news channels to refrain from making false claims using scandalous headlines. So such an advisory was issued once that private channels should not be using very scandalous headlines. Now, actually, this was not due to the intention of correcting emerging in the government. It was due to international pressure. Russia, this is a time period when the February 2022 Russia-Ukraine war started. February. Now, this happened because one of the anchors, the lady anchor of the Arnab Goswami's channel, was doing something very hilarious, dancing reporting from Black Sea, yes, where the war reporting. So that was not liked by Russia. That was complained to Government of India officially. That official complaint to Government of India led to the issue of such an advisory. But what we found, that government can issue such an advisory if there's a violation by private channels. Yes. Further, the first thing that government can do, can facilitate the functioning of the NBDA with better members and with full autonomy. Second, government can do is can issue advisories. Now, third is, now on the basis of rankings. So NBDA gave rating and rankings. Now on the basis of rankings now, government can issue what? National awards for best news broadcasters. National awards, for example, there's a National Film Awards given by President of India. And the film awards are given mostly on the basis of good content and quality. There can be one or two occasional films which can be of the chamchas or the sycophants, but that is not the norm. The norm is that appreciate good quality content of the cinema. Now, hence, the same type of award can be created for National Award for News Broadcasting on the basis of rankings given by NBDA. So that means there's a possibility that the better, if the things are being in a transparent manner, giving the rating points ranking, naturally the better quality channels who are delivering what better high quality news content will be have more chances of getting the awards at national level. So what will be the impact? Now maybe there can be two possibilities. One is a channel high on quality, low on TRP. Everything is TRP madness, nothing. Yes. So high on quality but low on TRP. And there can be highly popular channel but low on quality but high on TRPs. Now we have to what impact where it hits the most, that is TRPs. So now imagine if the President of India is recognizing and giving the best channel award, news broadcaster, to a channel of highest quality. Highest quality means may not be viewed by various people, low on TRP, but now award at national level will lead to what? More eyeballs catching across the country. That will definitely be what? Creating certain interest for certain viewers to shift. And that shifting will be leading to what? Rise in the TRPs. On the contrary, the channel which may be highly popular, committed viewers, but not recognized national level, will now be creating suspicion, which can lead to decline in TRPs. And nothing happens immediately because behavioral changes happen over a period of time. But the possibilities are very huge that a national award of news broadcasting on the basis of rankings given by NBDA, with on the basis of proper parameters being checked, have the possibility of bringing more limelight to better quality channels and thus making them more committed to good quality journalism. And falling TRPs will not be lagged by any popular channel, so they will be forced to improve. So we are talking about possibilities which the government can create. So hence, so government can constitute a national award for news broadcasting awarded by President of India, similar to National Film Awards, based on content and quality. Impact. Channels recognized at national level can gradually gain in viewership, TRPs, and sponsorship. On the other side, channels neglected can gradually lose the confidence of the people, TRPs, and will be forced to improve. The purpose is to create constructive competition for good quality journalism. Third possibility. Now, the fourth possibility is there have been reportings, there have been cases where the certain channels are manipulating their TRPs. The channels get two forms of advertisement revenue. One is from the government advertisement and one is from the private sector advertisement. Now, if the government knows that certain channels are manipulating their TRPs, is the basically the responsibility of the government not to advertise its things through a channel doing manipulation of TRPs. So what can the government do next is stopping of government advertisements on channels involved in TRP manipulations. Okay. So what we have seen is the certain actions which the state or the government can take. First is facilitating the proper functioning of NBDA, facilitating the better persons to be heading or being the committee members there, and then finally checking the quality content, generating rating and ranking points for the world to see. Second is occasional advisories if required. Third is national award definitely can help in bringing certain changes. And fourth is stopping government advertisements on the channels which are manipulating the TRPs. Next is now what the others can do. Non-state actors. We have seen in what last 7, 8, or 10 years that various journalists who were in the mainstream channels, some of them did not compromise on their ethics. So they left those mainstream channels and they shifted on social media. And their social media platforms have now become hugely popular. If you go back 5 or 6 years, they were not very popular, but their subscriptions, their viewerships have risen drastically. One of the best example is Ravish Kumar. Yes. So within what maybe hardly a year into our social media, he's got more than 1 crore subscribers. Yes. That means people also always want to listen to alternative views. And it's not Ravish Kumar, there are multiple people now, yes, which are doing journalism on social media now. And that has now become powerful, which is now countering the mainstream media, because now there's more viewership of the social media news rather than the mainstream television news. So time always come when there's a counters emerge. So non-state actors, either the journalist, the top journalist who left the mainstream news channel, they can come together, they can start their own independent journalist media channel. They can also start the channel which can be directly funded by the people through subscriptions. Okay? This can be one possibility. The first is independent journalist media channel funded through subscription and crowdfunding. Can be one possibility. They can start their own channel. Now, still, this is a difficult exercise. But what is the fast expanding exercise is expansion of social media journalism can counter mainstream television media. And it's not counter, it is actually countering now. Started to counter now. It's countering very well now because viewership is declining for the television channels and increasing for the social media journalism. Another thing is we are talking about if we promote community radios at a grassroots level, expansion of community radios at grassroots level can improve citizen journalism. Okay? That means citizens will be voicing their opinions at least in their communities, discussing the issues, and hence they are becoming what more visible in terms of the voice and opinions. So seventh, expansion of citizen journalism through community radio is a big option. But this sixth is expanding very, very fast. This has already countered the television media now. Another thing can be certain degree of corporate social responsibility. Now there are certain corporate houses, for example, Bajaj Auto Industries, Parley Industries, who declared in what 2020 that they will not be advertising through those news channels which are working against the constitution, destroying the social fabric of the country, and hence they stopped their advertisement to those channels. So this was their own ethics not to support such channels. But this we cannot expect from all the corporates, all the companies, because companies or corporates will be funding or advertising through those channels which are high on TRPs, although they may be highly incorrect in their information. So what is the way of what influencing them to support good quality journalism through advertisements? Here comes the role of what national awards, if that is there by the government. National awards providing opportunities to good quality journalism to what not so popular media channels but high on quality. They will be getting more TRPs in future, will now be influencing the companies to shift to those good quality channels also. So here the change makers or the change creator can be national award. So these are the things which the government can do with the existing system, yes, without bringing any law, without bringing any law. So let's see again, without bringing any law, what can be done is, first is make NBDA functional properly. Second, advisories if required. Bring an annual national award for good quality channels, journalists, and broadcasting. Further, stopping government advertisements to manipulators of TRP. Now, on the contrary, non-state actors, big journalists can start their own channel, but what they are doing their work quite fine now through social media. So social media journalism expanding on a highly what exponential rate and is countering the mainstream media. One more thing can be done at district level, expansion of community radio can be a big option. And encouraging the corporates to fund better quality channels, that can be through national awards for good quality journalism. These are the things which can be done through existing framework. Now, if there's a case of a law, what the law can do. So what we have discussed so far is a combination of state and non-state actors. First is NBDA activation, advisories, initiate national awards, stopping government advertisements to manipulators, independent journalist media channel, expanding online journalism through social media, community radio, corporate social responsibility. So this becomes basket of bringing change in the mainstream media. Now let's see if the law is required. So what can be done? Possibility, media reform law. As per Article 19(2) of the Constitution. First, what this law must engender? What engender means promote. This law should promote a culture of. This law should promote. This law should promote a culture of fact verification and accuracy. So law should bring in an inbuilt clause of fact verification before speaking anything on the television. Fact verification that the industry currently lack. Fact verification should be made mandatory. Before putting anything in the news, there should be proper fact analysis. And that should also be told, okay, these are the facts, these are references, these are resources, these are the videos which have been verified, and hence this news. Yes. Okay. So as we write any article, we give references. When we write any book, we give references. Second, journalists should not feel pressed by their employers to break the news. So breaking news culture should go. Because when the breaking news is being done, it is done without any fact checking. So journalists should not be pressed by the employers, but empowered to hold stories until they are sure that their facts and accusations are accurate. So breaking news culture, which is ultimately linked to misinformation or manipulated facts or completely fake information, can be disastrous. So fact checking should be the inbuilt part of this law. Breaking news culture has to be dealt with so that there's no rush just to get TRPs, just to catch eyeballs, yes, just to get advertisement revenue without checking on the veracity of the news, yes, or the truthfulness of the news. Third, insist on better journalist training. They should proper trainings, yes. Now, code of ethics is there, but there should be training on the code of ethics. So, training of code of ethics through what? Very powerful media institutes, so as to what? Create the inbuilt focus in the minds of the journalists and the broadcasters, focus on accuracy, integrity, and fairness in their students. Fourth, the standard should extend to media organizations. Whenever the false claims, there can be mishappening. You can report a thing through a television and something has been later proved false or wrong. There should be a way of saying sorry also. Yes. So when false claims or intentionally misleading statements are published or broadcasted, then should issue a retractions with equal prominence. For example, newspaper come with corrigendum or the correction. The same thing should also be happening in the broadcast also, corrigendum or corrections. Now, welcome different perspectives. So newsroom should not be one-sided. Anchor should not be one-sided. So different perspectives. So panelists should be diverse. Panelists should be given what proper task. Now see, just do one thing. See the debate on BBC. What happens? First of all, the participants are highly experienced experts from their respective areas who have done enormous work at the grassroots or experts in various situations. They are being called. First of all, there's a proper issue to be discussed. And according to the issue, experts are being called. Then the anchors, the role of the anchors to start the debate and let each and every person speak. Now, what we see is there's a very peaceful atmosphere, smiling atmosphere. When one person is speaking, nobody is interrupting in between. When that person has spoken, the next person gets a chance. When everyone has spoken, then the anchors summarize the findings with a way forward. That is the process of what a debate, proper debate. Clear? So welcome different perspectives in our newsrooms. Not allowed to become the echo chambers. Yes, what we are finding is shouting. shouting, outshouting each other, shouting and outshouting each other, and the person who is outshouting everyone is the anchor. Yes. This is not the way the debates are being. This is a deliberate way of diverting the attention from the real issues. Now, every story plugging a point of view must be required to provide some space for the alternative view. So alternative views are supposed to be heard. Now, journalists must welcome comments and feedbacks from their viewers. So they should be open to comments and feedbacks from their viewers and readers. That means there should be a what? It means diverse pluralism we are talking about. Diversity of opinion, chance to speak, promoting pluralism, feedbacks, comments, feedbacks and comments. Consumers, okay, feedbacks and comments. Now further, must introduce regulations that limit control. This is very, very important. What we have seen is big corporates by the media houses. Now see, it brings a nexus between the corporate, the ruling party and the media. Now the corporates by the media houses. Now that helps in what? Only pushing the ruling party narratives, because ruling parties are funded by the big corporates. Okay. Now when the ruling party is dependent upon the big corporates funding, so what will happen? The ruling parties will be what? Creating policies and schemes facilitating the business of big corporates. So it gives rise to a thing called crony capitalism. Now that means when we see in India, the big newspapers, the big news channels are bought by big corporates, and they set the narrative for the government, which benefit their own business, because then the government will be working in promoting their business. So here there should be checks and balances on the media houses being controlled by big corporates. There must introduce regulations that limit control of multiple news organizations by a single business. Why? Because a powerful business interest, vulnerable to government's pressure, will usually override ethical journalism concerns. Now, India is one of the few major countries where no restrictions currently exist when it comes to media ownership by affluent citizens. So this is a problem. There's only one side narrative is being told to the people, which is going to benefit only the 1% people. Okay, the people who control the money, the resources in the country. Finally, a single and a powerful body is required. A single and powerful overseer or body is required for monitoring the application of the law and for required corrective actions and in case of violations. So there's a law which can be brought by any government in power with reference to Article 19.2, with reference to for sovereignty integrity of a country, and it can bring various corrections, inbuilt corrections. So fact verification is an inbuilt thing. Breaking news culture without fact verification should not be there. Best ethical journalism training should be there. It should be extended to also broadcasters and anchors and journalists already working. Further, there should be a system of corrigendum or retractions in case of false information is being provided. Further, diversity of opinions, pluralism, open to feedback and comments. Further, there should be control on what one big corporate controlling what various news channels. It should be one entity controlling one media house can be there. Yes, but it should not be about 4 or 5 media houses bought by one. Now, and finally, there should be a powerful overseer or a monitoring body which should be monitoring continuously and taking actions for corrections. That is, this is the way to reform the media. Any doubt with respect to the things discussed today? Or everything is very clear? Okay, very clear. So Devi, Dharam, Gloria, Harsh, Sai, Shilpi. Sai, is everything clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I hope now you can write anything on media now. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yes, the phrasing of the things, the properly putting the lines and the paragraphs, that's my responsibility. Is how to write. But here the content that we are generating is very, very beneficial in terms of putting various things on the paper when you write the main examination. So GS and what your essay you can definitely master. Yes. So it's clear. So tomorrow again the second part of the IEC will be continuing. We will tomorrow continue the IEC part. So IEC will be continued tomorrow. So tomorrow is the last class for initial concepts. Then on Thursday I will be doing the answers solution for the assignment that I gave you. Yes. Okay. On Thursday, and we also doing certain essays with proper introductions. Friday also we are doing various essays, philosophical essays, so that you will be getting confidence that how to use the content that we have generated so far. And then the assignments will continue. From the coming Monday, we'll be starting with Indian society and social justice. And that will be opening up the social dimensions, justice dimensions, society dimensions. And that will also be opening up GS questions as well as essays linked with social justice. So that will be continuous exercise. So just keep on revising, feel confident, you've got the content, the best filtered content that you can get. So thank you for participation. Let's resume the class tomorrow. Thank you.
Yes, sir.